Hi, welcome to FireTech Talk. I'm your host, Sean Kelly, and today I'm speaking with Bill Politz, Director of Sales and Strategy of AGAS, for part 2 of our discussion on the AIM Act and environmental responsibility for HFC clean agent fire protection. Bill, thanks for coming on again.
You're welcome, Sean. Great to be here.
If you haven't already seen part 1, go ahead and pause and watch that before watching part 2. Under the AIM Act, what is exchange value equivalent, and how is it relevant to agent availability?
Exchange value equivalent is the basic metric that the AIM Act uses in order to establish the regulation. It gives different values to different gases, and some have a higher exchange value equivalent. So you need more allocations to buy that versus one with a lower exchange value. Like if your exchange value is $1,500, you'd be able to buy twice as much of that material versus something that has 3,000. So there's a cap that comes down on that exchange value equivalent. So the global warming power of each different material gets regulated in a total exchange value method.
Are there any application-specific allowances outlined in the AIM Act for military use or onboard aircraft?
Yes, there are 6 categories of application-specific onboard aviation, sensitive, mission-critical, military. It's like foam blowing agents and meter dose inhalers, and let's see, bear spray, like defense sprays they call them, and so forth. Now there's also a whole different little application, or it's called a new entrant set aside for new companies that didn't participate in the baseline era. They're allowed to apply and get allocations under the AIM Act, and those will be published at the end of March.
What should a facility owner do if he has an FM200 fire system?
Well, it's hard to give an answer that's good for all facility owners, but I think they should all take into account some of the following information. That there are companies in the fire protection space that have allocation for virgin material, and there is a huge bank of FM200 in the world, larger than Halon 1301 ever was, and at the peak of Halon 1301. And this is only a phase down. It's not a production ban like it was with 1301. As we know, 1301 is still prevalent in various applications today. So we expect FM200 to be around for a long time. As well, they should also know that there's absolutely no barrier for reclaimed material to enter into new products, as well as for rechargers. Recharges will be available, and we expect down the road that OEMs will supply the suppression cylinders with reclaimed material, because reclaimed material under the AIM Act is excluded from allocation requirements.
What should an FED do if there's an FM200 system discharge?
It's an easy matter to go on Google and look up EPA certified reclaimer under the AIM Act, and also find one who follows the NFPA 2001 guidelines for using agent with the tested pedigree, and call them up and say, can you recharge this tank for me?
What is the long-term replacement agent for FM200 systems?
Long-term, if you're looking for brand new that are not currently regulated, you look at inert gas systems or Novec 1230, also known as FK5112. That's the Novec 1230 is the 3M brand. FK5112 is a generic name. Neither of those are currently regulated in any way with regard to ozone or global warming, although there's no guarantee that they won't be regulated under some future scenarios. So long-term, those are some very good options, and I would also say reclaimed systems with FM200 in them, with reclaimed FM200 would be also good long-term solutions.
Okay, so it sounds like there's a couple of options.
At least.
What is an HFC reclaimer? Why are they important? And where can you find one?
HFC reclaimers are certified by the EPA to follow certain guidelines and best practices under the EPA guidelines for reclaiming all sorts of chemicals, including HFCs. And those are the type of things that are in there are like you don't have any leaks in your system, clean your material, maintain your equipment, train your employees, and clean and test for impurities and clean for impurities. There's a list of things that you have to certify that you're doing. There's yesterday I counted 64 on the EPA list, and you can find it by going to EPA-certified reclaimer. Just Google that and you should find the list.
What are the current practices for reclaiming HFCs, and how do they assure the chemicals are according to original specifications?
Well, a good touchstone for that question is the Halon Alternatives Research Corporation, which is an industry trade group, otherwise known as HARC. They publish a guideline called the Recycling Code of Practice, and in there it says a lot of the stuff that I mentioned on the EPA reclaimer. It also mentions that you have to have the material tested to ASTM specifications, and so that each batch of material has a certified stamp of approval from an AHRI 700 approved lab.
What challenges and opportunities exist for FEDs in the area of clean agent reclamation?
Well, that's a great question, because as a lot of people see it now, they're just like, oh no, I can't get that anymore. I got to do something else. And a lot of times in a regulatory situation like this, you see a bit of a huge spike in prices because it's kind of a knee-jerk reaction, and there are a lot of forces at play to make it seem really bad. But the fact is that the circular economy is here to stay, and environmental protection is really important on a lot of levels to a lot of very important interests. And this whole AMAC thing they've been pushing this at the highest levels of industry for years. So there's a lot of companies out there looking at their sustainability or net zero goals. And if you've got people who have any relationship to that level of discussion, you're going to set yourself apart by letting them know that you're aware of the AIM Act, the material we've covered here, and the importance of reclaimed material in the future of fire protection. So that's a great way to say that, you know, you'd be, if your company you're dealing with has any sort of sustainability bent to them, and that's a growing field, then you're going to come to the top of the list by the knowledge you have about using reclaimed material in these important fire protection applications.
Great. Bill, this has been an excellent discussion. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Sean. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you all for watching. Please be sure to like this video and to subscribe to the Brooks YouTube channel. We'll see you next time.